The voicemail is only 8 seconds long. "Hi, it's the pharmacy. Your prescription is ready. We just need payment before we can release it." He listens to it twice without pressing callback. Not because the amount is enormous, because he already knows exactly how much is left in his checking account. The microwave hums in the background. A sock without its pair hangs over the laundry basket. Rain taps softly against the kitchen window while his daughter argues with the family dog over a tennis ball. Ordinary Tuesday sounds. The kind that usually disappear into the wallpaper of life. Today they don't. He opens the banking app anyway. Not to check the balance. To check if maybe he remembered it wrong. He didn't. The phone goes face down. "I'll pick it up tomorrow," he says when his wife asks. She nods. Neither of them mentions tomorrow has become a very crowded place. Funny thing about money, the hardest moments rarely arrive with sirens. They arrive disguised as delays. Not this week. Maybe after payday. Let's wait until next month. Lives don't usually collapse because of one impossible decision. They slowly reshape themselves around 1,000 postponed ones. The birthday dinner becomes cake at home. The dentist appointment becomes call them later. The vacation folder stays open in the browser until the airline quietly raises the price. Nobody announces these moments. Nobody keeps score. Except the person living them. Years later, the numbers finally begin to cooperate. The account no longer empties before the month does. The pharmacy voicemail would barely register now. Without noticing, life stops revolving around what must wait. Instead, it begins filling with things that seem harmless enough to happen today. A better mattress because sleep matters. A second streaming service because everyone talks about that show. The larger apartment because the kids deserve more room. A coffee on the way to work because mornings have been exhausting lately. Each decision arrives alone. Each one sounds reasonable. No single purchase changes a life. That's why nobody notices when a life begins changing. One Saturday afternoon, a woman stands in her garage surrounded by unopened boxes still wearing shipping labels. She kneels to find a screwdriver she already owns. She buys another one on Monday. 3 weeks later, she discovers both. A young accountant spends 40 minutes comparing 2 televisions online before buying the cheaper one. On the drive home, he doesn't think about the television once. He spends the entire drive wondering whether the neighbors will notice how old his car looks parked beside it. A little boy tapes a crack in his favorite toy spaceship because he thinks tape fixes everything. His father watches from the doorway, smiles for a second, then quietly closes the budgeting spreadsheet before the child can see it. No speech. No lesson, just one hand reaching for tape, the other reaching for a calculator. Neither of them realizes they're trying to repair the exact same feeling. One with plastic, the other with money. The first time he says, "We can afford it," nobody celebrates. His wife is standing in the lighting aisle, holding 2 identical lamps. One costs $39. The other costs $98. For years, decisions like this ended with calculators, long silences, and the sentence neither of them enjoyed hearing. "Let's come back next month." This time he shrugs. "If you like that one, get it." She smiles, puts the expensive lamp into the cart, and keeps walking. 10 seconds later, she quietly turns around and swaps it back. He notices. Neither of them says anything. Some habits survive long after the emergency ends. A few months pass. Then something stranger begins replacing the old fears. His phone vibrates during his son's soccer game. Work. He glances at the screen. "I'll answer after the match." 30 seconds later, he checks again. By halftime, he's typing beneath the bleachers while parents cheer somewhere behind him. Nobody asked for an immediate reply. The urgency came from somewhere much older than the email itself. Across town, a woman finally buys the house she spent years dreaming about. The moving truck leaves. Friends fill the living room with laughter. Someone says, "You've made it." That night she can't sleep. Not because the mortgage is frightening. Because every tiny scratch on the hardwood floor suddenly feels permanent. She walks downstairs barefoot at 2 in the morning carrying a towel to wipe away a water ring left by someone's glass. The stain disappears. She checks anyway, twice, 3 times. The house owns the rest of her night. Meanwhile, an electrician pulls into a gas station after work. The truck beside him costs more than his first apartment. For a second, he studies it. Then his daughter calls through the car speakers. "Dad, guess what happened today?" He smiles before she finishes the sentence. The truck leaves. He couldn't describe its color 5 minutes later. Some people lose comparisons all at once. Others simply become too busy loving something else. The shift is almost invisible. Not dramatic enough to become a motivational story. Just small moments where one voice becomes louder than another. A birthday candle that doesn't wait for one more email. A dog scratching at the back door while a spreadsheet remains unfinished. A rainy afternoon spent assembling a bookshelf crooked enough to lean forever against the wall. The room remembers laughter. Nobody remembers whether the shelves were level. Years pass like this, not in giant decisions, but in ordinary Tuesdays that quietly vote for the person you're becoming. Then one evening, after another promotion, another raise, another year that looked successful from every direction, something unexpectedly familiar returns. Not an unpaid bill, not an overdraft, a voicemail. "Hello, this is your pharmacy. Your prescription has been ready for 4 days." He freezes. The money has been sitting in the account all week. So why didn't he go? For the first time, he isn't wondering what he can afford. He's wondering what exactly has been costing him all these years. The voicemail keeps playing in his head long after the screen goes dark. Not because of what it said, because of what it interrupted. He looks around the living room. The television is on. Nobody is watching it. Dinner plates are still on the table. His laptop is open beside them. 23 unread emails. 4 calendars. 3 reminders. One life somehow spread so thin that picking up medication became another task postponed until tomorrow. He closes the laptop. For the first time in years. Not because the work is finished. Because it isn't. Probably never will be. The following Saturday, he drives without really choosing a destination. A red light stops him outside the strip mall where he used to shop years ago. The bakery is still there. The laundromat too. Even the faded bench outside the pharmacy hasn't changed. Only he has. Or at least that's what he's always believed. Inside the pharmacy, the cashier smiles. "You're the one who kept us waiting." He laughs awkwardly. "Yeah. Life's been busy." She hands over the small paper bag. "That'll be $12.90. He taps his card. Approved. Receipt printed. Transaction complete. The whole exchange lasts maybe 15 seconds. He walks back toward the parking lot and realizes he remembers another payment from years ago far more clearly than this one. Not because it was larger, because back then every dollar carried a story. Now they disappear so quietly he barely notices them leaving. On the drive home, he passes a playground. A little girl is insisting her grandfather push the swing higher. "Higher!" He laughs. "I'm trying." "No, you're not." He gives one enormous push. She screams with delight. Traffic begins moving again. He should keep driving. Instead, he pulls into the parking lot without fully understanding why. He sits there watching strangers live ordinary lives. A mother wipes melted ice cream from a child's shirt. 2 teenagers argue over whose turn it is to carry the soccer bag. A man drops grocery bags while trying to unlock his car and starts laughing before anyone can help him. Nothing remarkable. Nothing expensive. Nothing anyone would post online. Yet every single person seems completely occupied by the moment they're already inside. Nobody appears to be rehearsing tomorrow. His phone vibrates. Work again. He flips it over without reading the message. A minute later, it buzzes a second time. Then a third. The playground doesn't notice. The children don't notice. The wind doesn't notice. Eventually, the screen goes dark on its own. Across the sandbox, the grandfather sits down beside the little girl after she grows tired of swinging. She leans against his shoulder and starts talking. From where he's parked, the words are impossible to hear. Whatever she's saying takes a long time. The old man never reaches into his pocket, never glances toward a watch. never interrupts. He simply listens. The man in the car watches them until the sun slips behind the trees. Then he unlocks his phone. 47 notifications. He clears them all without opening a single one. When he starts the engine, the prescription bag slides across the passenger seat and bumps gently against his hand. He leaves it there, not because he forgot it, because, for the first time in a very long while, there isn't anything more urgent waiting for him when he gets home.